Hello, I'm David Amberghini. In today's discussion, I want to talk to all of you about the importance of your ecosystems. I never thought or looked into why the ecosystems are so important, but then there was a study done by a guy that we're going to talk about that's very important in today's discussion that actually went to Harvard Business School, and he found out that 99% of your success is by who you hang out with, your reference group. We'll go in detail about the reference group, your setting, and where you want to be on your trajectory, hopefully for success. So we're going to get into this. I'm going to start writing. Now, the importance of David McClellan that I talked about briefly in the beginning of this video is 99% of your success that he said with his Harvard studies was determined by your reference group. Now, your reference group is the 5 people that you hang out with. And this is even beyond the 5 people you hang out with. This has been a question that's preoccupied me for years of why do some people and individuals get successful and some do not? And it's not necessarily something wrong with yourselves, but it's your social circle, your reference group, the setting you live in, what type of stuff are you consuming? And this is stuff from your consumption of social media, from your music, the people you're with, maybe even family, and your setting. So I call it the ecosystems. So you have to think about it like a gravitational pull on different planets in the universe, and we'll go more on that in the other segment. But for now, really take note after this video or during this video to pause. Who is these 5 people that are in your circle? Are they on the same trajectory as you? Are they in the same business mindset as you? Or going to college, trades, whatever that might be? Are they positive people? Are they negative people? Now, these are all things you have to really take in. And it can be a little alarming. It seems very selfish because it's like, I'm not going to change my social circle and my parents and all this stuff just to become a new person. And I understand that. I'm not saying change that. But if you're really serious about obtaining your best self, you do have to be selfish with every aspect of your life until you can be selfless. Now, what do I mean by this? Let's elaborate more. The 5 people in your social circle in your reference group, if they're not on the same trajectory, some might be pessimistic, but you're optimistic. That's going to kind of mess with your frequencies and lower your frequency some days. When you're like, hey, let's take this on, let's get this business, blah, blah, blah. They're going to be like, no, this is wrong with that, this is wrong with it. And you might not ever actually go for it just because of your reference group. One person can change your mindset, especially if they're in your reference group. You're really taking what they say to heart. And that's why some individuals say, don't tell people your goals. I think you should tell people your goals if you have a good reference group. So we're going to go more into this about the ecosystems and continue from there. So before we were talking about David McClellan with the 5 reference group, but now let's go a little deeper than that. I love to go more detailed to actually get the ball moving to formulating how this is going to help all of us. Now you have you, your education, family, friends, setting, finances, and health. Now, why is this important to go at a more detailed manner? This is because this is what you're going to have to also change to be able to get to the person that you want. Now, if this was like a planet and you have a gravitational pull that's just going all around here, to be able to escape, like if you try to jump right now, you're only going to get, I don't know if you're athletic, maybe 20 inches or centimeters. I don't know your athletic ability, but that's what's going to hold you down with gravity. Now visualize your circle, your social circle, and your network like the universe. You're visualizing yourself like a planet, and then there's a whole gravitational pull. And I'm also going to go into a detailed drawing with that as well. But for here, this is important because what is your education right now? And you only know. What is your family like, your friends? Just this alone, you should be able to tell why you're in the social circle you are now rather than a different one. Then go to your setting, your finances, and health. Now, this is a whole other thing. When you're trying to get to a network of high-level individuals, you have to visualize it like Maslow's pyramid, Abraham Maslow. And when you're going up this hierarchy, you have to make sure you change this and then change yourself to be the person deserving of this new social circle. And I see it all the time on social media where people are like, why can't I get into this different social circle? Or how do I network? This is how. You have to change this, then yourself, to be deserving of a different network. Because higher network individuals usually 9 times out of 10, they've gone to the same schools together before Harvard or Oxford or high-end colleges. And if they didn't go to high-end colleges and they're entrepreneurs, they're private investors that have invested in them, come from money already in different settings. You'll look, they went to the same grade school maybe, or here or there. And when you start to connect the dots of people's inspiration or their network, they've known each other some way or somehow to be able to get to that caliber. We are all on this same earth, but we're living in 8.1 billion different worlds. And ecosystems are a part of also on this earth. And when you start thinking like that, it's just different. So when you're scrolling social media, your TikTok or your Instagram Reels or your YouTube Shorts are aligned with the same algorithm as usually the setting that you're in by state and IP. You have to visualize that just like a network. They're living in a whole different world. When you're seeing a millionaire, they're in a whole different setting usually. They're living a lot different friends around them, different family. All these things are just different. So it's not as simple as just where you are now to where you want to be. We're going to go more into that. Let's get to the gravitational pull drawing, go from there. Okay, so with this set here, these are my great artistic drawings of pieces of paper. Visualize this is you when you're born. There's nothing. You have nothing written in your book, right? As your umbilical cord is getting cut. In the middle, you have a little bit going on. Now, this is the social circle and network and your reference group that we're talking about today that you start to become. Now, hopefully, the writings in this book are aligned with your final one when you're dead. And I know that's alarming, but like where you're trying to be, by the end of this trajectory, do you want kids and a happy family with like 6 or 7 grandkids and a big house, whatever that is at the end? You have to make sure the middle aligns with that. So what I mean by this, if you also want to visualize sponges or anything that soaks things up, write it down, wherever that is, that's us as humans. We start here blank. There's nothing to us. Our name is made up, social security just to keep up with all of us like numbers. But what's actually unique and important is our story, who we surround ourselves with, and the value that we provide before we're off this earth. It's like you're on a diving board and you're jumping, you jump off, do a couple tricks, and then boom, splash. I don't know what it is after that. Probably the same thing that it was when you were born. So whatever that is, that's for them to say. So in today's discussion's sake though, really be cautious on what you're doing. Like I said, you're like a piece of paper, you're like a sponge, and you're like a sculpture. You just have to pick up the little scalpel and start going away, start scraping, start building the statue that you want by the time you're old and wise, hopefully. That's what you want to do when you're thinking of the reference group and your network and your resources. All that stuff is just utmost important. I like to really think of this because who you're surrounding yourself with, you're gonna start absorbing the energy from them. You're gonna start absorbing the way that they even use vocabulary, their education, their cadences. All of these things are absorbed by your reference group and where you are. All of this stuff is so important. So if where you are right now, adapting, does not align where you're trying to become, then you have to change something right here in the middle before it's too late. So I'm gonna erase this and we'll move on to the next segment. Now, discussing what this is. What is this representing? 2 different planets. This is you now. This is the dream you. This is the dream network you have. The house, the setting, the people that you're surrounding yourself with, all that stuff. And then the you now. Now, we've done this before in different discussions with what your plan is, your desires, and all that stuff. But in this, how do you get from here to a different network? I see it all the time where individuals have a bad relationship, a girlfriend or boyfriend that's holding them down because their mind's here, but their significant other is aligned here. And the reason this happens is people change. You might start learning different sources, you might meet other people, and you grow. Some people grow in different directions because some people might think that you're actually not growing and you're declining. Some people think they're growing, and they validate and measure this from usually success, financial success, and all of that stuff. So looking at this, writing down the 5 people you have around you, who's holding you back. When you talk to people, out of these 5 people, are they negative? Do they have solutions? Do they have new businesses they're trying to start? Or is it, oh, this happened, blah, blah, blah. Are they pessimistic or are they optimistic? All these things kind of equate if these are people you want to maybe keep for the future network and future self. Now, another thing is, even if you're on social media or like LinkedIn, you're going to see a lot of times that individuals, when they're going and you follow people, you might not always see mutuals. But when you start connecting and building your social circle outwards, you're going to start seeing mutuals pop up when you follow people. And you're like, whoa, I didn't know so-and-so knew this person, or so-and-so knows this person. It's one big spider web and kinship of network. And once you start realizing that and acknowledging it, everything starts to get so much easier. The snowball effect starts. Now, what do I mean by this is, anytime I started like business or content creating, whatever that might be, is I didn't ever realize how important your network actually was. When I started, just filming, oh, I meet this filmer, but this filmer knows this person, this editor knows this person goes here for short form, this one goes here for the vacation planning. All of this stuff is all connected. So building your social circle up and switching your network to people that are aligned with where you're trying to become and where you're trying to go is utmost important. Now, I'm going to erase this and go in greater detail on a couple different segments that you really want to take note on. Now, one more thing I want to go into, a different visual quick to take note on, is the you now and the dream you. This is still like the worlds, but just a different level visual. If you're trying to get here, but you're here, how are you going to jump, right? If you're on Earth right now and you try to jump, I don't know what your vertical is, but there's going to be gravity that's holding you down. Now, your network that you're with right now, you're setting and all these things, visualize that like gravity. That's keeping you down for who you are right now. Now, don't just go around and blame like, hey, you're keeping me from my dream self or anything like that. But sometimes the people around you, the setting, your health, all these things are keeping you down. Once you change that, then you become deserving of this. There's a guy, I believe his name was like Theron Q. Demont, and also another person, his last name's Atkinson, that talks about law of attraction and concentration and stuff. Now, don't chase these people, the different network, the setting, the money. Become a magnet to it. When you create a person of high value, you're going to attract this. Say you're trying to go into YouTube and you want to become a YouTuber, and you reach out to YouTubers. They're not going to respond on DMs or whatever. And you're like, well, what's wrong with me? Well, do you have any videos? Do you have any credibility? Once you start building credibility, these people are going to come to you without you having to even reach out. If you want to start a business and you want to reach out to these business owners, but they're not responding, create businesses and they're going to start attracting to you. If you just focus on switching your network, yourself, your health, your credibility, your value, most important, this will come to you. The money, all of the desires you have will become attracted to where you are right now. You don't have to jump to another planet or universe. It's already here. Everything you want is already on this earth. But what you have to do is become the magnet, become deserving, build the value, and it's all just going to attract right to you. And it's as simple as that. So I'm going to erase that. We'll go into some more details with hierarchies, and that's very important with Abraham Maslow, and we'll go from there. What is so important in the significance of this triangle? Now, this is just my representation of Abraham Maslow's pyramid, and I'm not the best artist, but I think you can kind of depict this. So with this triangle or this pyramid with Maslow, the hierarchy of needs, you have people that are at the top and you have people that are at the bottom. 9 times out of 10, a lot of people start at the bottom unless you're born into a higher network or resources. But if you don't, you have to make your way up there. Now, if you don't come from a good network and resources and stuff like that, you have to build up. You can't just run and get there. And when you try to cold outreach or call and say, hey, I want to network, or hey, what you're doing is interesting, 9 times out of 10 people of value have 100 of these messages flooding their DM. So how do you get to someone that you're trying to get to off of Instagram or network, whatever that might be? You have to be credible and have the value of someone up here. So when you do reach out, it's like a 9 to 10 success rate. But if you're here with value and you reach out, these people at the top are looking at it like volunteer work. And I know it sounds horrible, but it's just the honest truth. Now, why do people at the top not give their time as much to the people at the bottom? When you reach out, it's like, these people are mean, they're so selfish, blah, blah, blah. It's because the people up here, they value their time. when they're up here taking an hour of their time to have a meeting with you, instead of them maybe making a video or giving a lecture or seminar in front of, say, 10,000 people, that hour-long seminar with 10,000 people is actually going to be a lot more beneficial and helpful in their eyes than hopping on a meeting with you. So it's very rare for someone up here to be able to give you the time of day. So how do you get there with someone to network? You have to become the person, like we said before, build the value. Once you build up the value, you're gonna go up this hierarchy. I promise you that. So if you're here now, what things do you want to get to? If you want to be a business owner at a caliber of $1 million, then you have to be living like a person that has $1 million business. When you're up here, this person is probably waking up early. Down here, are you waking up at 5, 6 a.m.? Because 9 times out of 10, most millionaires are waking up early because there's only so much time in the day, and they want to really make sure that they actually can get things done. The reason they get up early too is they have 0 distractions. When you're up at 4 or 5 a.m., not many people are up yet, or if they are, they're trying to get their day going. They probably start with working out, they start with running, they're hopping on meetings right away, they're doing all these criteria and these time blocks that we can go into a whole different video, but for today's sake, really make sure you're doing things that implement that you're deserving of up here. Because if your daily habits, your resources, your reference group, all these stuff do not align with the network and whole different ecosystem you're trying to just break through and get into, you're not going to get up there. You have to change those things, and all that's going to start coming to you like a magnet. So let's move on to another segment here. Hope that makes sense. So in conclusion of this discussion, to make it easy for all of you, these are the 4 things that you want to write down and figure out if you have to change any of these. When I talk to a lot of my millionaire friends, they're usually new locations all the time. We're talking Bali, Cape Town, New York, California. They're usually in ecosystems and settings that align with what they're going for. So there are a lot of tech startups in California, or business owners or finance in New York, whatever that might be. They're really cautious on their setting, who they're surrounding themselves with. New friends and family, same thing aligns with that. They're creating different value points. So if they're going into a different business, they're making sure the value that they have is credible and is attracted to the different ecosystem they're trying to get to. And then education, very important. This is going to, of course, align with value. The more educated you are, the more you're gonna know, the more credible you are, and it's gonna help with all of this stuff. So this is the conclusion of today's discussion, and I wanna conclude it with a quote that if you really make sure to change you and your world and the current self, that is what it takes to be able to get to a new world, a new self, and dream. So thank you again for everyone tuning in, and until next time.